Now, there's this radical verse in Proverbs 14, verse 12. It says this, Proverbs 14:12. There's a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. That's something to really think about. There's a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. The Lord said in Isaiah 55, 8 through 9, Isaiah 55, 8 to 9, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are my ways your ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." So God has made it clear that His plan, His way of thinking, His way is much different than ours. His way leads to life. It's a narrow path. There are few that find it. In fact, I found over the years it's often counterintuitive. It seems illogical. In fact, to the world, it might not make sense. It might not seem to be the way to go at all. Just like the cross. Didn't seem like the way to go. The disciples of Jesus, His followers, were hoping that He would lead them in a revolution against Rome, to lift Israel into a place of world prominence again. Oh, they knew He was the Christ. They knew He was the Messiah, and they were sure from their understanding that the Messiah would conquer and rule. They thought they had it all figured out. They were sure they knew what was coming. And so the Lord, knowing that, in Mark chapter 8, after they had confessed Him as the Christ publicly, in Mark chapter 8, verse 31, the Word says, "Then He began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things, and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and the third day rise again." He said, guys, this is not an option. This is mandatory. It's the plan. The Messiah must suffer, must be rejected, must die, must rise again. These aren't optional. Well, verse 32 says that as He spoke this word openly, Peter took Jesus aside and began to rebuke Him. He thought Jesus missed the plan, right? It's not the way it's going to work, Jesus. It's not what we had in mind. That's not what's going to happen. And he began to correct, no, you're not going to die. You're not going to be rejected. No, I don't know, that's not in the plan. That's not the way it's going to happen. Because they already had in their minds the way they thought that He was going to work. And so verse 33 of Mark chapter 8 says that Jesus turned around and He looked at His disciples and He rebuked Peter, saying, "Get behind me, Satan. For you are not mindful of the things of God, but the things of men." See, Peter was following what he thought was his own logic, his own reasoning, and it seemed to make sense. And Jesus said, well, you're speaking Satan's plan, and your mind is full of human thinking, that this isn't God's plan. It's your ideas, Satan's ideas. Listen, I say all this to encourage you to be very, very careful not to simply follow what seems right or looks right or makes sense. And God has given us the gift of being able to reason. He's given us the gift of being logical people. But be careful to not just automatically follow what seems right, what makes sense, which seems logical. You see, the Bible teaches that when we walk in the Spirit, when we follow by faith, we enjoy God's plan. When we walk by sight, when we walk according to the flesh, in other words, we feel our way through life, that were in trouble.